see the implication of corruption at the IEC. And why does it matter? We might say, oh, there's corruption going everywhere. Oh, why? What's new about this? I think there's so much more to ask and so much to analyze and so much to understand. And it's not happening in a vacuum. Uh, the the need. Why is it important to hold the IEC accountable first? As accountability matters. But why, particularly the IEC? And we'll look at the other questions. Why is the executive interested in the IEC? We know the police only act when the executive is really interested, where he has vested interest. Now, the point here is the IEC is one of the most important sensitive institutions. And we can dare to say that it's a pillar of our democracy. This is how we decide who governs us, from the executive level to the local government level. And then it's an institution that should be above board. I mean, in competency and fairness and everything, integrity and everything should be the best institution that we have in the country. Because where they fail, what happens? The country plunge into crisis. Where they fail, the country plunge into crisis. We might have other institutions fail, and we easily go out there and rehabilitate the institution or rescue the institution. But in the case of the IEC, in the threat or the risk in there is far greater. It might lead to complete unrest where people's life, we have seen that experience in many countries. But in particular, in the Gambia right now, we are in a crisis that we can blame the IEC for being part of the institutions that created this crisis. As I keep on saying, without anybody's influence, from my experience, from my studying what have happened or what had happened in the past and what happened recently with our elections, I tell you that the elections are still stolen in the Gambia, and in a very serious manner. And what does this do? If an executive, a government, manage to control how they are elected, to make sure their elections are guaranteed, they don't care about what people say. And because for them, they will expect that it will come to the ballot box again, and we will know how to get away with it. We don't let them be angry or whatever they can say whatever they want, but all we need to do is to apply our strategies, which are illegal, in order to continue our governance. When this happens, the government becomes very complicit, as we see. And this happens in the time of Jawara, where he used the incumbent power in many ways, in many strategies to ensure that the opposition in the Gambia was not vibrant. And PPP was guaranteed to win every elections and to dominate parliament. And the complacency ensured, and that complacency led to corruption, and we had what we had in 1994. In this case, it's more serious. The condition of the country now, I mean, there are so many ticking time bombs because the government have failed so badly that thousands and thousands of youths who are desperate, we all seen the evidence from the backway and everything, but even households now are so desperate, not only because of their children cannot get employment, because of their own survival. The cost of living is skyrocketing, and it's very clear now, it's glaring. There's no one to debate that the government have failed to arrest this, the government have failed to do something about it, and the evidence of corruption is very seen on the people around the president. This being the situation, and the government being complicit, knowing that they control the electoral body, that should ensure that we have a free and fair election, very competent elections, and the winner determines from that. That's dangerous. This is a reason in a nutshell why it is important to make sure we hold all institutions accountable, but more so the IEC. That's why it's supposed to be independent electoral commission. And I'm looking at this again. This is what we said in the time of the First Republic. We never had a special. That's why it's seen as progressive. What we used to have is the local government minister, and the ministry, for that matter, the ministry invigilates elections. And that being the case, that being the case, what did it do? It made people lost confidence in the elections and and leading to actually affecting our democracy. But now to introduce, since Yahya Jammeh introduced the IEC, for what it should be, it have never been that. The only reason we managed to take him out in 2016 because we managed to find the loophole, we managed to find the 300,000 voter cards and take it out of circulation. We would not have never won elections. And I can tell you, be Alaji Momon Jai, be anybody who was around the IEC, or even Gambians, conscious Gambians, knew that they were fraught, a huge that determines the outcome of elections, to the extent of Yahya Jammeh saying that regardless whether Gambian vote for him or not, he's going to win, because of he guaranteed himself 300,000 voter cards. And the evidence of that again came out at the petition. And during the impasse, Yahya Jammeh petition and specifically asked for 300,000 cards. Where are they? It's not magic. I mean, many people were surprised, what is Yahya talking about? But people who knew what had transpired knew Yahya Jammeh was referring to the 300,000 voter cards taken out of circulation. But magically, 2021, the 300,000 voter cards reappeared into the system. That's why we have this bloated number of almost half of the population eligible to vote, which is mathematically impossible. If you consider the youth population in the Gambia who would not be 18 at the time of election 2021, if you consider the population of foreigners in the Gambia, if you consider that it's not compulsory for everybody to register, all these things would point to obvious fraud taking place. Now, if we have now the state coming out, pointing to that institution of financially corrupt, why do we not believe that then if they can be financially corrupt like this, that means they don't have integrity? And what does it tell us? That yes, is another way. Unfortunately, as I said, once you have the executive and people don't stand up to make sure the institutions function, the Gambia Supreme Court betrayed us to make a ruling on an election petition based on technicality. We have seen Kenya and other places, you dare not use technicality to rule out something this important, but Asen Diallo failed us with the judges that sat over that. Now, coming to again the state to blame this institution for this, we're going to go into details. We'll go into details of what is implicated here, or what is pointed out here as an allegations of corruption. And look, if you look at that, what else would you say? That definitely these people are not fit for purpose. But let's be careful. Now, this allegation has been put there, whether proven or not, the institution is into disrepute. The institution is in disrepute. If the government come to say, oh, we give the police, or the police come up to say, we are investigating, that's it. To go into investigation a body like this, and for the audit, what we have seen so far, extracts from the audit report, it telling us none of these people, and if you look at the names and the people responsible to make sure things work, the entire place should be removed. Then that's why when the other question will, what is the motive of this? Now we have established, I want to keep it short, we have established the reason why it's important to hold every institution accountable, more so the IEC, for the peace and stability of the country, for the democracy of our country. This is a pillar of our democracy. It needs to be, hold accountable to make sure they perform. But, what happened to the other reports? We have so many National Audit Office reports, very competent, since this government came to power. One thing we failed to have in the German administration was having these audit reports on time, or even having them. We have the COVID reports. We have the security report reports. We have the Ministry of Tourism's report on Hamad and others. We had local government audit reports. We have so many audit reports. Until, to the extent that the Hadimgai contract report, Banyan project, to the extent that all the reports are pointing to the executive himself, leader of the executive himself, Barrow, having hand in this. If it is to be investigated or to be prosecuted, Barrow government will have to fall, or Barrow would have to be taken into account. Barrow turned out to rubbish it, to say it's just a mere opinion. This is interesting now. We know the police will not just jump and investigate. Now, this is the reason Barrow makes sure he has his brother-in-law as the IGP, who was not a police officer, who was an immigration officer, who was already heading the immigration officer. There are so many other police officers competent, but risk, the risk is getting bigger. And I'll come to that. We have to think of this start time, what the start time means for Barrow. We have to be starting to think critically. Interesting enough, as I am concerned, and many other people concerned, they were shocked to read a press release from the police to say that they are investigating audit reports on IEC. Many people who are really in the know turn around to them, oh, have you seen that report they talk about? They say, no, we're looking for that report as well. It seems the report was not even known to us and to some media houses. In fact, I tried to get in contact to get hold of that report. They didn't have it. And within 24 hours, extracts of the report came to Kerfatu and other areas started to share, which we're going to go through in detail. We have to ask this question, that we have all these audit reports, but the police have never moved to investigate and to end up judiciously to bring up prosecution where it's necessary. In the case of Abba Sanyang, the former interior minister, who fell out with Barrow, we saw in that case, they used the local government audit reports to take him to trials. But no other council have been approached and taken to trial. Because again, the interest there was Barrow not be angry with Abba. Apparently it's for complete different reasons. It's not about corruption. It's about Abba holding back money given to him. This is the allegations that are not in the courts. Given to him about $50,000 for campaign things, and he did not hand it over to the president. And we have to plausibly take this argument, because Abba was filmed, someone was recorded on video insinuating or stating that he was taking a bribe he was taking forward to Abba. We have never had about that case been investigated or to be brought to trial. And Abba have been involved in other land deals. We have not had those cases in the courts. But they went to take the audit reports that dealt with the time he was a governor, to try to prosecute him. And interesting enough, Abba was those significant individuals that played a huge role in the election fraud of Barrow. because he was part of that group that did it for Yaya Jammeh, and that's why he was nominated and appointed as a governor. And we all see the inflation of voter registration in the region, Central River region he was. And this was the reason he was rewarded to be the Minister of Local Government and Lands. It's a very sensitive position. Governments don't give it away like that. Not only the lands, but the local government, because he was close to the Usman Sow, who was likely successor of Barrow. That's why Usman Sow had him there. And when he was removed, Usman Sow had to come over and take over that position. That's how sensitive it was, for them to control. Now they have another significant person who have played a huge role. When he disappeared in the middle of approaching to election, nobody knows where he was. He was around the Senegal border, Salom and others, to mobilize, to bring in voters to register. And that's Ahmad Banao holding that position. Now, there's no evidence of the audit reports being used judiciously to prosecute people or to be investigated. No, it's only been used once, as we know of, and that's about, and about was not about corruption of per se. Yes, it's corruption, but it's corruption that would not have to really get to other people that are in the books of Barrow or to get to Barrow himself. It was kind of a vendetta, selective justice. As I said before, accountability anywhere we support, but again we will have to highlight where it is selective, because we don't want to encourage selective implementation of accountability. Now, we have witnessed this issue and asked ourselves why the police rush to investigate this. There are so many audit reports. Why none of those? This is where we have to be more critical now. Who have a vested interest? Who can influence the police? That would be the executive. The president via the Minister of Interior, who heads, who's the line minister for the police. And this is why it's interesting to note and ask why. Why the IEC? Because we are not saying why the IEC, or we are defending the IEC, or we don't want IEC to be. No, we welcome it. But why not other audit reports as well? As we know, or read those audit reports, in many circumstances we have seen the executive directive that made, that controlled that corruption, or those people acting on the allegations of corruption are very close to the president. Now, this brings what does the president want from the IEC? Why this situation? Again, as you said, it's interesting. Now, this government resisted every move to reform the IEC. They resisted. We all remember. The reforms of the IEC was part of what we needed for democratization. But they kept it as they found it. Just see, when Barrow does something, when Barrow wanted to loot our finances, he got Mamboure Ndiaye, who did it for the dictator. When he wanted to loot our finances, he kept Yankuba Dabo at GRA. When he wanted to loot our ports authority, he gave it to Jobate. And we all know all these people did it for Jammeh. And that's why he kept them there. When he wanted to suppress us and other things, he brought in Sonko, IGP Sonko, and others to be interior ministers, and so on and so forth. Then this is the way he operates. He kept Alaji Alu Mamanjai, even though his term expired. They tried to use technicality about it to justify keeping him there. We all know, thank you, Modu Ndur Sabali, in Social Security, when we have people like Manjang, he removed them to bring in, people, that will do things for him. And this is the situation we have. Now, they kept Alaji Al Momanjai. Technicalities. We all know that his term finished. Very clear. Ignored. Again, the performance of the old man, he's still there. We all have seen it. This is about ageism. It's about a mandate. It's clear stipulated that they cannot run over that mandate. Or to try to say, no, he was not the chair at the time. No, it says a commissioner. Just as Mali Salah had to resign because his term expired. It's not about ageism, but again, performance. Under his watch, we have seen catastrophic mistakes that nearly, that could cost us a lot. His performance is poor. But if we get to the point raised by the audit, they say, you would not believe that a government institution would be run that way. That's why I said I cannot see these people staying. But when, this is where it's interesting now. If these people are removed, who are going to be there? Barrow is going to determine every replacement. Every replacement. This is why I was saying, this past few days, whenever I come out here, I said we have to be very careful. And I gave an example that Barrow now is so desperate, and he will do anything to stay in power. We are Gambians. It's not UDP. It's not any single political party. Gambians, for that matter, have to unite to make sure we salvage our democracy. This is not about a political party. This is not about an individual. This is about our democracy. Because Barrow have hit the rock. Because when you take governance, the only safe exit strategy to build is good governance. You can never go wrong. With all your might, the intentions right for good governance, you will never go wrong. At the end of your term, it's easy to go away. It's not something you decide. It's already decided by people. It's already decided by democracy. The system we choose in a developing country, something that we advocated, something that we agreed. You see, this is the point here. In law, we'll tell you that a verbal agreement can be contractual. You can have a contract based on verbal agreement. But again, they'll tell you, oh, an MOU, it's not legally binding. But in politics, in democracy, people have the rights and the powers to come out. If you put it in your manifesto and campaign for them to vote you in, if you deviate from that, people can come out and ask you to get back onto track. And I can tell you, if Gambians are united and made their demands, the interest for Gambia, I tell you, Barrow would dare not run third term, and he should not run third term. Because once he runs third term, he is putting a greater risk towards stability. Because he is in a corner that's what he wants to do, that's for himself. It's not for Gambia. For his narrative of madness. Yes, that's why he will run to the villages to stand there. I am building the foundation for Gambian development. I don't want to move away from this point, but that's for another day. As I gave example that Trump wants to be president to save himself from persecution. Even Israel, yes, his design is this thing, everything, but I can tell you there's an added factor that Netanyahu knows that once the war continues, he is safe, because the country has to be in the state of war for the prosecution that he used to face will not happen. The example close to us, Macky Sall. When Macky Sall came to realize that he have for the corruption, and this is how it starts, it's corruption. At the first, Macky Sall wanted to stay because he was so much corrupt and he have looted so much, knowing that I cannot get away with this loot. Because this young guy standing here, they are an anti-establishment. They will take everything from me and they put me in prison. It's not an establishment party that I might maneuver and keep some of it and get away with the precedents that a Senegalese president have never taken to prison. In the course of trying to stay, Macky Sall committed the human rights abuses. It's not that his government have not. You see, when a president is prosecuted for human rights abuse, there's a threshold that people tend to have. In the case of Macky Sall, if he had just served the 2 years, he was likely to face the courts for corruption, because of it's the level of corruption. It's the level of corruption. You see, good, if you, as I said, you do your best. There's no government that will not be corrupt, but you do your best. Your intentions clear and do your best. Your government might be found corrupt. You might, some instance of questions, or question of human rights, this thing, but for the benefit of the greater peace of the country, or these things, they will say, let's move on and leave this. This is the example that happened in Liberia. They how to call it? George Weah was absolutely corrupt. His government was absolutely corrupt. So many cases arise that it could have been found on him. He was so much wasteful, and there are some instance of human rights abuse. But the way he conceded the elections, you don't even hear about him anymore. He's running around dancing. Today, Macky Sall is not free. He's already in a sort of a prison. He cannot go freely now. Even with guards, he cannot go freely. And I can tell you, if he venture back to Senegal, if he's not locked up straight on remand and wait for trials, if he walks out of Senegal, he'll be attacked, regardless of what security given to him. Because he cannot have the level of security a president will have, and the other level of security people will go after him. We have seen him condemned from visiting Columbia University. We have seen him condemned in Morocco by a citizen, and that will continue because of what he have done. Barrow is in this situation right now for corruption. The amount of corruption we all know about. I can tell you there's far more we don't know, or we don't know. Even the ones we think we know is far. I discussed with a banking executive when he looked at what happened, knowing the people, knowing the people that are involved in taking over Megabank. The person said to me that very likely that Barrow is a shareholder. Because he know the people around this bank. And in fact, he said to me, this is exactly how they did with the bank in Congo, in Gabon. He said, this is how they took over a bank in Gabon. And these are Cameroonians, they are Congolese, and the intermediary would be Kalulu Wage from Congo, Senegal. You see, Barrow, that's Megabank. The Gambia Port Authority, be Sidin Jai, be the first lady, and if we say this first lady, we are talking about Barrow. It's a joint enterprise. They even given investment apartments in Turkey for this contract they sold our ports. And there are orders. This the security port money they getting from the airport, that deal is Barrow and First Lady's deal with Fatim Baji and others. All these things can be traced for him. That's why the audit reports he will not touch us. Gun petroleum, the Russian fuel, you pointed to Barrow, to the First Lady. There are so many. That's why they're filthy rich. The OIC, so many contracts of the OIC, not only the vehicles. The diligence, what caused the diligence is all about trying to get their own. Trying to get their own deals. And we have seen now a multi-million-dollar property being built. Now, you think Barrow is interested, or his government interested in fighting corruption? No. This is why the reason, as we welcome the intervention in at the Ports Authority, at the IEC, we should be very careful. We should be very careful. It's not the interest of the public. We welcome it. We want accountability everywhere, but this is going to open up because now the level of, because they did a fraud. We all know they did a fraud. As we pointed that if time was given, to the extent of the registration, not only the registration, even the numbers put together, after people voted, even this is the worst form of voter fraud, worse than the IEC. The IEC secured it from the voter registration, and the rest he was secure. That's why IEC was even secure to allow counting on the spots, because for him it's already stolen from the voter registration, and he have embedded and have the system controlled completely to make sure that anybody registered would vote. And that's why IEC used to tell you anybody come in, this thing registered voter card, this thing will vote. We're not going to stop them. Then where can you stop them is to get those people not to even turn up. This is why Yahya Jammeh was shocked, because he never thought that people have the ability to make sure that these people will not turn up. That's why he asked, thinking that there was a deal with the IEC stopping people to vote. No, it was the circulation of those voter cards taken out. Taken out. Now, what we think about is, what level of corruption are they ready to do in order, because this election would be worse for Barrow, because the situation is worse today than ever, because now we know about the other way they did things, and remember the local government elections, it was avoided in the parliamentary. Does he want to introduce another way of thought? Now, does he have people already recruited in mind, trained to do this? This is what we should be thinking about. This is what we should be thinking about. In order to stop this, hence we welcome the accountability, is to make sure because I cannot see we have in a new constitution, but we can have laws, the electoral laws, and to make sure Barrow cannot select, appoint. Let him select and let it go through Parliament. We vet every individual that is going to be appointed to commissioners, and make sure, we have provisions that we can vet all these returning officers. How can this institution, this important, open to anybody, any kind of people, not their qualification, not their competency, in any form, education-wise or anything? How can Joe Colley just become a deputy chair of IEC? Because he's been there for long as a spokesperson. Spokesperson for what? What? Just imagine that. An institution like an IEC in any country, the kind of caliber of people to run that, how can we allow someone who cannot perform? It's not about his age, who's not qualified to chair the institution. Not only that, he cannot. You have seen him perform. He cannot. He's just sitting there and anything runs around him. But if he doesn't have the integrity to decide that I am away, now to the extent of given the situation have arises and this much corruption is exposed, now given the chance for this desperate president, I mean, to select again, elect again, and appoint, to select and appoint people he wish. We saw the last time when there was a vacancy at the vice chair. He appointed an MPP member. We have to pull him down. This is where we are right now. Now, let's look at, so I just want to keep it short. Let's look at the allegations. Look at the allegations. According to the extracts from Kerfatu, the Gambia Police Force announced on October 15, 2024, that it has initiated an investigation into concerns raised by Audit General in a special audit report focused on the financial operations of the IEC. The police did that. As I already explained, why is the police interested in this? Not any other wants to do. Kerfatu has reviewed key findings from the National Audit Office report on IEC finances, which covered the period from January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2023. The report highlighted a significant amount of unretired funds totaling to 7,935,603.55. Let's say 8 million. Likely 8 million unretired. And according to, it's not in this extract, in other publications, they refused to open their personal bank accounts to be reviewed. They refused. Now, it continued and said, according to the audit report, discussed with the IEC management revealed that as part of the Commission's procedure, budget election funds are transferred to the private bank accounts of returning officers in various regions during election period. These returning officers are tasked with using the funds for election-related expenses and are required to provide detailed expenditure. After each election, they are expected to submit financial reports to the financial director for review. Tell me which organization work like this? Do you know of any competent organization that puts money in people's private bank accounts? Use it. And this is a petty cash. Even petty cash is not paid. Petty cash is not paid to your private bank account. That's where you see, the government satisfy them. Now, for what the government provided them, it's like bribery. Now, they would be happy with a government like this. This is what Barrow did. This is an inducement. Now, that same government coming after them. Why should we trust this government? Yes, it's our money. We want to recover every penny of it and punish anybody who have taken something unlawfully. But the penny should be on what? Who are the people going to replace them? Because now, even this investigation is stopped, the institution have lost credibility, and all of them, they need to resign. If even it's stopped now, just because of it's the police, it's the audit office, National Audit Office, and the police that came out with this, not Ben Suwareh, Aissatou or Fatou. They have to resign if even it doesn't continue. How can, let's point on this again, that money is paid to their accounts, and this is not like 500, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, even petty cash. Why would returning officers need physical cash to that amount? The amount that they should anticipate to need, any material they anticipate to need, could be measured. Everything they need should be known. The quantity should be known because they know this. This is something they know. They know how many registered voters are in their catchment area. Even 100% of them turn up, they can create, get the materials or cater for 100% of people in that catchment area coming to you. Then any material you need can be purchased through invoices and everything, paper trails, so that it can be audited properly. You can have approved suppliers and everything, and all these things can be supplied via, invoices been given, and they get paid from a central account. It could be done. Why was not that done? And in anything that you said, because of elections are so important, you will not want it to be this thing. There's certain amount of money that will come in form of petty cash. But how does this petty cash be accessed or be spent? I cannot think of what would they need that cannot be catered for well before elections, day of elections. Why would they need to carry this much money with them? Are they procurement officers? That's one. The system itself is rigged. But as good citizens, if there are people with integrity, you don't abuse it because of it's abusable. Your integrity tells you that you should not. The money is for this, that's what it's going to be used for, and anything left is going to be returned as interest. Why? It continues to say, according to the extract from Kerfatu, reconciliations between the budget estimate, the total amount of funds transferred in the private bank accounts of the returning officers, and the actual expenditure from the retirement file for the period ranging from the past electoral cycle from 2021 to 2023 reveal unretired funds amounting to almost 7,935,603.55 buduls, meaning the returning officers could not show concrete evidence of how these funds were spent, the audit report stated. We haven't come to the main figure. This is only the returning amount they have not returned. But even the expenditure they cannot justify. And the expenditure was 31 million. 31 million. Why would you pay 31 million in private bank accounts of about 6-7 people, returning officers? I don't know how many of them. 31 million. They rigged the system to control these people so that it's an inducement. Let's look at it again. It continued to say, despite the IEC assurance regarding the retirement and liquidation of funds, the audit team indicated that an outstanding retirement amount of 7,935,603 can still be verified. These are they can account for. They verify. They recommended that the commission take immediate steps to recover the unretired amount from the individual listed below. Who are they? Name of returning officers, total unretired funds. Sulayman Juf, 443,196. 443,000 unretired. That's not the biggest. Joseph Colley, the supposedly vice chair. Joseph Colley, 1,482,000. 1,482,000. Go and do an audit on the properties they owe or their spouse and siblings. Go and do an audit because that's how they do it now. Fatmata Barrow auntie is in the UK here buying properties and everything and declaring it to be their business is not true. We forensic audit will prove that they never had that amount of money before Fatmata Barrow became the first lady. People know the businesses they run and where those businesses end up. But the other ministers are doing the same thing and this thing. They're owning properties everywhere in the names of their siblings and spouse. Now, Joseph Colley, 1,482,201. Anthony Robert Secker, 5,907,000. 5 million. You see how much was given to him. I want to know. For 5 million, this thing cannot be accounted for. And you think what he said that is accounted for is just? That's Anthony Robert Secker, 5,907,000. Amadou Tal, 2,281,000. 2 million. And teachers, on contract cannot have their salaries. The first term of school, the public school don't have their maintenance fund. Means that the pencil or whatever they provide, the books and all those things are not catered for because there's not money. But they can pump money to how to call them? The IEC to corrupt them. This would not have been an issue if, that's why I say we should think about this. This would not have been issue if Barrow still confident that what he wants to do in the next election is doable with these people. Now, my thinking is that this fraud this time, because the last fraud now is on these people did that, and probably we are going to look at many areas. Now they want to bring a new team with a new form of fraud. Before we know who they are, the fraud have already been done. Because fraud starts well before elections. Fraud starts well before elections, not election day. But even election day. Barrow did it even election day as well. Now, Anthony Robert Secker, 5,907,000, almost 6 million. Amadou Tal, 2,281,000. Esa Balde, 179,000. Aissatou Jalondour, 18,589. Pa Maka Khan, 353,990. Lamin Cham, 1,031,000. Lamin J Jadama, 20,800. Now imagine this. This is rigged. As I said, there's no institution that will pump this much money in private accounts. Private accounts. Now they don't want people to look at their accounts, how the money was spent. You see, as I said, most of what they need, almost everything they need, could have been purchased through a procurement system that have paper trail and everything, invoices and everything. It could have been done. Because we know how many registered people we have for the elections. And we know what regions they are going to vote. Now, even if you consider surplus, let's say 100% of people we have to cater for, we know that they cannot be 100% present at the time of elections because of so many things determines that. Now, even if you cater for 100% of material needed for every area that you know that that's what they need, guess what? You will not need money to be paid to these people's account at the last minute. Or if you need money to be given to them last minute, it will not be in the millions. It will be in the thousands, and that too can be controlled. Control in a cash flow, petty cash system. But to take over 31 million and distribute it in accounts, and now they turn around to give you all form invoice which are not satisfactory, and the money left they cannot return it. Now, there's another explanation to this. A text I've got today give you a little bit of breakdown on some of the expenditure that they claim. You know, this is about the 31 million been given, and they're talking about, they spent some of it, and about almost 8 million was not spent, but it's not returned. Now, this is about the money already spent, what they have claimed to have spent it, and still it's not satisfactory. They said, here are some of the financial irregularities the National Audit Office discovered at the Independent Electoral Commission. 1. The IEC collected 8.3 million from from party registration, nominations, deposits, and the replacement of voter cards but these funds were not transferred to the consolidated fund. See, this is another money not transferred to the consolidated fund. And if for the National Audit Office to say that, is they cannot trace where this money is being put into. For the National Audit to say that, the financial regulations should say that this money should go to the consolidated funds. Because the IEC make demands through the parliament for what for their operations. They are not mandatory to collect this and use it for their operations. Are they telling us the money disappeared? Let's go and audit these people and see what they're building. First they do is to build houses, marry wives or upgrade their husbands, because there are women there as well. Married wives, because some of these women, because women cannot marry more than one, they have to upgrade the one they have, and the other have to replace or these things. This is, we look at the expenditure for their family. You'll find where the money is. Now let's look at this. The other point is, the auditor discovered that receipts for up to 4.5 million in revenue were missing. Receipts were missing in this day and age. It's in day and age, receipts are missing. And this is from 2021 to 2023. The last election cycle is missing. Missing nowadays, receipts for 10 years even should not be missing. I say that receipts are missing. The IC could not account for 534,000 grant provided by the ECOWAS mission for the last presidential elections. They have a grant money paid to them from the ECOWAS mission, which is about $534,000. It cannot be accounted for. Probably it's for breakfast. Probably they're spending on breakfast. But this is serious. Now, the other one, they said the IEC opened accounts with Zenith Bank, Granted Trust Bank, and Trust Bank without approval from the Minister of Finance, violating financial regulations. It's a violation of financial regulations, but it's not that simple. Might be a reason for them to open this so much. There's a reason why there's a regulation. We all remember the Janet Commission. The Janet Commission discouraged or advised against institutions just going around opening bank accounts because it's technically difficult to manage. But it's saying that they open these 3 bank accounts doesn't mean that they don't have existing bank accounts which are approved from the finance ministry. This looks like these are new bank accounts open from the ones already existing which are approved by the finance ministry. The other one is during the 2021 presidential elections, not parliamentary, not local government. During the 2021 presidential election, the IEC received fuel coupon worth 2.1 million from the African Union. However, 302,400 worth of these coupons were diverted for unrelated purposes, misuse. Now, this is saying that during the 2021, just the presidential elections, these people were given 2.1 million from the African Union for fuel coupons. But out of that, 302,000 was not accounted for. That's why you see a lot of idling vehicles running around the country, because so many institutions have, dishing out coupons to their families, friends, and other dishing out sweets. Yes. Now, between 2020 and 2023, election expense totaling 199 million were paid in physical cash using cash vouchers. 200 million. Why cash in this day and age? 200 million. We can understand to say, oh, certain areas of the country still this is 1 million. Probably justifiable. But now if we corner and crunch, there's a fintech. The fintech now have open branches. The Unas, the Sonics, so many. They run more efficient than banks when you come out of the greater banking area. But again, 200 million in cash. That's what they claim. Spend physical cash using cash vouchers. That's open for another corruption. And alleged kickback. This is serious. This is not Ben Suwareh coming out a kickback. The National Audit Office dare to say an alleged kickback. This is taken seriously. Of $85,709 was generated during the purchase of voter register equipments. Now, if the National Audit Office of the Gambia alleges that there's an allegation of kickback, you see, that's why I said this IEC have to go. They will go. But what is going to replace them? This is where Gambians, I'm not going to call up political parties. Yes, they have leadership in this, but for us Gambians, we have to keep our differences to make sure we have a competent elections. It's for benefit of every Gambian. Your party might win, your party might lose. And if Barrow wins in a competent election, if we allow him to run, that's our problem. And we go to bed with that. But the system process should be free and fair. Because if we allow Barrow to run, and because we allow him to run, now he goes and use the executive powers to rig these elections, the consequences might be something else. Might be something else. This is what happens when elections are rigged. We have seen in many countries. Kenya, nearly they went to civil war. These are possibilities. You see, even Macky Sall, the minute he realized that he's not going to run, last minute he tried everything, postponed everything, he put himself out. And Pasteur won the elections. Now they have the peace, stability, and they're progressing. And they will be held accountable. Again, the allegation of a kickback, I'm still scratching my head on this. This is just to say, when people like us come out and say there's a kickback, there's a reason we dare say that. Just ask the National Audit Office saying there's a kickback. Now take kickback very seriously. Now the other one is the IEC claimed to have hired 12,544 security personnel for election duties between 2020 and 2023, but could not provide the post list to the auditors. I've done a quick research on this because I thought they were, I never knew, I thought they were recruiting private security. They said no. These are the police and the military they use for security. Now, this is easy. This is between institutions. A wage voucher or salary voucher, the army, during the course of the election, president elections, this is the how much personnel you send us. This is the how much hours they carried out. This is what we agree to pay. They pay to the army. The police, this is how much personnel you provided. This is the amount of hours they provided. This is what we agreed to be paid for this. This is it. That shouldn't be a problem. Unless the books were cooked. Now, the allegations here is that IEC claims to hire 12,555 security personnel. That's a lot of people. I don't know where, for elections duties between 2020 and 2023, but could not provide the posting list to this auditor. They cannot provide the list to auditors. And for 12,544, that would be a lot of money. It continued to say again, during the 2021 presidential election, 14 temporal staffs were hired to vet nomination documents, yet none received appointment letters. You know, appointment letters are important to indicate what you employ them for and what their payments and salaries are. Now, in the absence of appointment letters, the auditors would have a problem to determine whether you paid what you claim to have paid or not. because of these are temporal staff, they cannot find them to ascertain whether these monies have been paid or not. They are not regular staff that have a recurrent salary being paid out of this system, or that they are designated posts. Designated posts are already, recorded of what salary they entitled. And this is again another area which they created, could a loophole, and for 14 staff, I don't know how much that would be. They made that up, we don't know. But they said that 301 million meant for election expense were transferred to the private bank accounts of the returning officer, which is a violation of national financial regulations. This is the 301 we discussed earlier. It's a violation. Who is the financial director? Who is the chairman? Who is the vice chairman? These are the people that commissioners. They decided on this matter. Now, if you held these people accountable, they are not fit for purpose to be there, but they have to be replaced, and this replacement, that's what we think of. Yes, we are happy accountability is happening here, but we have to be very careful. Why we are careful? Accountability is not happening in many other areas that have already gone through an audit, had an audit exercise, and the reports are generated, but they are jumping onto this one. And we know that Barrow is desperate. Now he have tried every hook and crook to try to get someone to save him, someone who he can select to be a successor. He can't find one, due to many reasons that trust that these people will not betray him, or these people are able to win the elections, or whatever it is. Now he have been forced, he want to force himself onto us. Now, it continued to say some temporal election staff who were paid salaries totaling to 4.5 million between 2021 to 2023 could not be identified, as their designations were not listed on the cash payment voucher. Incompetent or what? You see, this is what I'm saying. 4.5 million. And this is a short payment, and the election cycle between 2021 to 2023. 4.5 million, they cannot be accounted for, because it's not on the list of payments. They don't know who they paid or what they paid. How can that be happening? Now, payment totaling 1.1 million were made to individuals who were not on the posting list provided to auditors. This is a look. Already there's a 4.5 million for temporal listing. They cannot really determine how that went. But that's another 1.1 million. They can't even find the people. Individuals who because they were not on the they were not posted list. Ghost, what do you call the ghost workers? This will be termed as the ghost workers. It continued to say, it's not finished. Some returning officers from the 2021-23 election did not withdraw the full amount allocated to them for election expense, leaving 1.8 million in their accounts without returning it to the IEC. Some returning officers from 2021-23 elections did not withdraw the total or the full amount allocated to them for election expenses, leaving 1.8 million in their accounts without returning it to the IEC. And these people are not ready to return it. The IEC hired 874 commercial vehicles between 2021 to 2023, but auditors found no contractual document between the IEC and the owners of the vehicles. Again, this is another issue. Did they actually hire 874 if there's no contract existing? This is another thing. Do they actually need those 874? I don't know. But again, this is another thing that it will be a lot of money to account for. And not finally yet, I thought it was fine. Allowance amounting to 15.8 million were illegally paid. What does that mean? Paid to the wrong people or what? But it's an issue. Allowance amounting to 15.8 million. 15.8 million. How many schools for 15.8 million? How many boreholes? You see, 15.8 million. How many women gardens? This is why we suffered. Another one, a total of 7.9 million provided to returning officers between 2021 and 2023 remain unaccounted for, as no supporting evidence of how the funds were used was presented. Imagine a total of 7.9 million. Again, imagine how much, life that can change. The police have already launched an investigation into the irregularities raised by the auditors. Guys, I think this is very clear what the National Audit Office have written. And as we said, we welcome the accountability, but we ask this question, because why does it matter? Because this institution is a very sensitive, playing a vital role in our peace and stability and progress of our democracy. It's a pillar of our democracy. Some institutions, corruption might happen there, it can be investigated, people punished and rebuilt and these things. But in this case, if these people are corrupt, or found to be corrupt, or these allegations are grave that their positions are untenable, I cannot see them staying there. Because if they can be financially corrupt, then they don't have the moral compass. They don't have the integrity, and they cannot, oversee elections which are free and fair. Especially knowing that the incumbent, it's not ready. I've not, and this again, as I said, is added. It's not the only evidence. It's part of the evidence to prove that the last elections were rigged, as some of us made these allegations. And we know that if we don't have competent elections, what happens? We are in crisis. That the crisis we are today, because of the executive did not have is in the know that, look, all I need to do is just a little to get some people to come out, to be seen as I have the support. Whatever the case, come to elections, I'll make sure I win, because I have the IEC in my pocket. That's mean complacency. I don't care about Gambians, because the reason why we elect is you think, oh, if I don't do good, my scorecards are not good, Gambians will not elect me. But if you know that you'll be elected based on your control over the IEC, then the IEC is not independent and they are not fit for purpose. This is why it matters. But what interest does the incumbent have in the IEC? Is it for accountability purposes or not? No. We said no. Because of why? There are so many audit reports that came out before, the executive never came. We have enough evidence of corruption and they didn't care. Blatant. They are bankrupting institutions and everything, they don't care. NAWEC is bankrupt because of the corruption of Adama Barrow and the people around Adama Barrow, especially Nani Juara and others. Now he promoted Nani Juara to be a minister of petroleum because of the corruption. Ports Authority sold, corruption. Gam Petroleum bankrupt, corruption. And all those other institutions. The tourism have been sabotaged because of corruption. But nothing. Why the IEC? COVID, nothing. Because of a vested interest. This is why we have to be careful, because we know that he's desperate. It's not that the IEC have not done things for him before, but the risk, the risk is greater now, because now that's this end of his term. And I keep on saying that if I emphasize end of the term, don't tell me about that constitution. We are in a democracy. We are in a democracy. This person swore, this person campaigned to become a president based on a manifesto that he was going to be an independent candidate, that he resigned from he partook in that contract as resigning from a political party to stand as an independent. The manifesto to say that he was going to have a collective government, he was going to rule for 3 years and make it possible for another government to take over, to build the institutions needed in order to have our disregard that. Now, the principles of democracy in a developing country, which he advocated so many times, which he made excuse of. When we're talking about the 3 years, no, I have not even done the one time. We need to have a constitution. I need to have a constitution that would make sure nobody stays here more than 2 times anymore. I have to do this, I have to do that. He advocated for this many times. It's a contract. Guess what? He sabotaged that constitution in order to create the situation. I gave this example that if I am your neighbor and I build a fence between us for my privacy and everything, now you come around and undermine that fence. Should I just say that? No. He undermined our constitution. He said it. He bribed MPs. He said it. We know he did it. Then it's not about whether we have a constitution that dictates 2 terms or not. We have a right in a democracy to demand that he only serve for two terms. We have a right in a democracy just to serve for 2 terms. And the integrity of the IEC, yes, it's questionable. Because not only they did it for Barrow, they did it for Jammeh. The only time it changed, not because of their goodwill, because we forced it on them. We took out 300,000 voter cards out of circulation, which the IEC chairman have admitted once that if the APRC bureau was not born, the elections would not have been won. Jones, journalist, former Radio Gambia, in an interview, 2019. This is the 300,000 voter cards Yahya Jammeh was looking for. But that magically reappeared in 2021. And the other form of malpractices we have seen, registering people out of, that's how they put back the 200,000, repopulating this thing with double names. We've seen those evidences. Registering out of registration time, registering out of registration date, registration out of known registration centers, voting out of known registration polling, this thing. And the Supreme Court turned around to say, for technicalities, we cannot look at the evidence. Something that important. But the situation continued now. He's desperate. The only reason he wants to run, because he cannot find someone to save him. But he wants to risk our country by pushing to run for 3rd term. And he is quite aware that he cannot win free and fair elections. Then what would give him that? Hence, they have already done that for him. But this time, it's been figured out. It's become difficult in the parliamentary elections, because most of these people participated, and others that played games could not. Yes, so some of the returning officers of UDP were part of this scam. Some of them. That's why they got away with it. This time round, all these things are known, parliamentary, who could not get away with it. And the elections, the results of parliamentary mirrored probably what would have happened, presidential elections. We come out to the, and I can tell you still, the parliament is not completely free and fair, not complete. It's just that it was managed. And the same as the local government, it was not entirely free and fair, but because of the precautions taken, it was managed. Now, what we have to anticipate as people now is to think ahead. We know he's a crook, we know he's a thief, and we know he's desperate. And did that warrant him to go after this? We already make that case that he's not going after you all because of his implicated. We know that he doesn't fight corruption. We know he doesn't fight corruption. He's using corruption to fighting for corruption to go after his adversaries. And yes, his adversaries should be put into to account. But that does not stop us to not bring into account. Hence, as a sitting president, there's so much we can do. Hence, the parliament cannot get out there and impeach him. What we can do is to anticipate for elections, to have a free and fair elections, and decide as citizens. If he denies us that, he is causing trouble. This is why a crisis happened. That's why we said, as Gambians, we should not allow that to happen. This is our collective interest. Let's not be divided on this. This is not about the party that would benefit. The Gambia would benefit, because it's about our democracy. This is a major mechanism within our democracy to decide the progress of our democracy. If we keep this continuing, we will never, have the country we desire. The development will not come because there's no accountability. This is one of the most important part of accountability. If they cannot be held accountable here, and they will do anything they want because they become, complacent that nothing will happen to us. Apart from the green boys, which I don't advocate for, but it's a possibility when elections are stolen. This is why 1994 happened. When it's in a different sense, again, let me just point it out, where they were undermined, the opposition undermined civil society and everything else. And technically, we've seen a government ministry running invigilating elections. This is where it ended. Thank you very much, guys. I just wanted to keep it short. It's gone over an hour. But the people that came in late can follow it from the start. I try to summarize it a bit at the end. Have a good day. Thank you.